Number 10. Lily Rose Depp. Lily Rose Depp is an actress and model who is the daughter of Vanessa Paradis and Johnny Depp. At 16, she landed her first campaign with Chanel, the same house her mother, Vanessa Paradis, worked with. The year before, she made her film debut alongside her father, Johnny Depp. In a November Elle profile, she brushed off suggestions that her path had been cleared for her. It just doesn't make any sense. She also said, "The internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but you still just have your foot in the door. There's a lot of work that comes after that." And yup, that's how nepotism works. You are given advantages that others are not, and getting your foot in the door is part of that. These comments angered people, and on TikTok, people begged her to shut up and stop being delusional, which I have to agree with. Number 9. Olivia Jade. Olivia Jade is a YouTuber and daughter of fashion designer Massimo Ginali and actress Lori Loughlin. While in high school, Jade began a social media career on YouTube and Instagram. She is an influencer, and in the blog Pop Culture Died in 2009, it describes Olivia as our era's answer to the bling ring icon Alexis Haynes. While Alexis embodied the aughts unsightly hybrid of sleaze and luxe, Olivia exposed the lie at the heart of relatable social media fame, the stars pretending to be just like you and me while shacked in a palace in Beverly Hills. And also there's the college scandal. Yes, I have to bring this up. For those of you who don't know, the college scandal consisted of parents bribing athletic coaches to recruit students regardless of their athletic ability, and entrance exam administrators to falsify ACT and SAT answers. Just, straight up fraud. Lori and her husband paid $500,000, to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as members of the college rowing team, despite neither of the girls ever rowing before. They even staged photos, which were hilarious to me by the way, and it totally makes her complicit. Olivia knew what she and her family were doing and actively participated in it, which is just gross. Number 8. Ben Platt. Ben Platt is an actor, singer, and songwriter. He actually began his career in musical theater as a child, and he is the son of Julie and Mark Platt. His father is a film, television, and theater producer whose credits include Legally Blonde, Into the Woods, La La Land, and the musical Wicked. So no wonder he's famous. Now Ben has been linked to the musical Dear Evan Hansen, where he played the lead role from 2015 to 2017. Critics hailed his work, calling it historic and one of the greatest leading male performances ever seen in a musical. For his performance, he won numerous awards, including the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, becoming the youngest solo winner in that category. Then, it would be announced that the film version of Dear Evan Hansen would come out in 2021. And guess who was producing it? Ben's father, Mark. So of course, Ben once again took on the role of Evan Hansen. Now once the trailer dropped, people called out Ben, who was 27 at the time, for playing a high schooler. They also said it was nepotism that got him that role. It could have been a perfect opportunity to give a new young actor a leading role that would change their lives, but nope. Ben took it for himself. Responding to the criticism, he said, "I think the reaction is largely from people who don't understand the context of the piece, the fact that I created the role and workshopped it for 3 years. Were I not to do the movie, it probably wouldn't get made." Which, no, if your father wasn't producing it, then you wouldn't have been in it. End of story. Number 7. Maude Apatow. Maude Apatow is an actress who just so happens to be the eldest daughter of filmmaker Judd Apatow and actress Leslie Mann. She began her career as a child actress playing the daughter of her mother's characters in her father's films, Knocked Up, Funny People, and This Is 40. This opened more doors for her and set her up with people in high places. After joining Twitter, she was noted to have a large online following, which helped her become a contributor to Zooey Deschanel's website Hello Giggles as a writer and interviewer. Her work on the site as well as her acting roles earned her a spot on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2012, and she continued to appear in projects her father's produced, and when she was in the 2016 comedy drama film Other People, it was her first large film role not involving her father. But without her parents and their guidance, she would be nowhere near as famous as she is today. Number 6. Lottie Moss. Lottie Moss is a model who, through her father, is the younger half-sister of model Kate Moss, and that's how she garnered her fame. She had a modeling career as a teen, and she now does OnlyFans. But it seems like she hasn't put two and two together in terms of people who don't have those advantages being resentful of those who do. Amid a lot of conversation about the Nepo baby backlash, Lottie took to Twitter not to defend herself or her fellow Nepo babies, but to attack regular people. She said, "I'm so sick of people blaming nepotism for why they aren't rich and famous or successful. Obviously, it's not fair that people who come from famous families are getting a leg up because of that, but guess what? Life isn't fair. If you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. So instead of being negative about other people's success, go and try to create your own." But she didn't even create her own success. How hypocritical.
Number 5. He gets busy to relax. While the Smiths have famously entangled with other celebs throughout their marriage, Will once again shared a bit too much information in his new book, Will, and at one point made a not-so-shocking confession. When he was younger, Will was dating a woman named Melanie, who he discovered was cheating on him while he was away from work. Smith was deeply attached to his former girlfriend and to women in general. In his book, Will writes that he's always needed a woman to achieve for. Prior to Melanie, Will had only been with one other woman physically, but following the breakup, Will claims to have gone hyena mode over the next few months, whatever that means, making love to any woman who consented. At first using this as a way to relax and feel better about the relationship ending, this eventually grew into a full-fledged addiction, to the point where Will claims to have suffered a psychosomatic reaction from the escapades, causing him to occasionally vomit the moment he reaches completion. I did not need that image in my head, but since I have to suffer, hey, you must now join me. Number 4. They can't wait to get divorced. Breakup rumors have plagued this couple since they first tied the knot in 1997, but they rarely ever came forward to comment on the gossip. However, when the Margot Robbie rumors began to circulate back in the day, Will decided to finally speak up and clear the record. Himself and Jada were not getting divorced, and he was not dating Margot Robbie. Jada backed up that statement on Entertainment Tonight when the question of why people seem to want them to fall apart came up. While they presented a united front, conversations later on the matter suggested that the two had at least spoken about the idea of divorce at one point or another. During Will's appearance on Red Table Talk, the topic came up once again. Will said he would never get divorced as it was something he had already done and he'd like to avoid repeating it if possible. Jada laughed and said, yeah, not an option. But when she had Toni Braxton on as a guest, she claimed that she just simply wasn't mature enough to divorce him, which makes it sound like she was totally down to leave and she just couldn't do it right now. Jada is just counting down the days till she finally turns 18 mentally and kicks his butt to the curb. Number 3. Jada was briefly a Scientologist. While Scientology is usually referred to when breaking down Hollywood wacko Tom Cruise, Jada Pinkett Smith was briefly involved in the community and still partakes in some of its methods to this day. Jada and the rest of her family have often been linked to the controversial religion, though no members apart from Jada have ever actually admitted to being involved in any way, shape, or form. While Jada denies that she's a full-fledged member, the facts are she's been spotted attending several church events over the years. Former member Lee Remini backed up the claims of Jada's involvement, telling the Daily Beast that she herself interacted with Jada at an event taking place at the Scientology Celebrity Center, which is essentially just a giant room with famous nutcases in it, and Tom Cruise probably has an apartment hidden somewhere in there. If you want proof that the Smiths are involved in the religion, the family literally founded a school that contained an exclusively Scientology-based curriculum. That'd be like me opening a library containing just the Twilight series and being like, oh man, I freaking hate Twilight. Why would you just assume that I don't? Number 2, they actually suck. While rumors plagued Will and Jada for the moment they were married, their careers didn't seem to suffer at all. In fact, some would agree that Will was slowly taking over the Hollywood world, starring in much-loved flicks like the Men in Black franchise, I Am Legend, and the Bad Boys series. It wasn't until he slapped Chris Rock at the 2021 Oscar ceremony live in front of the world that the truth began to be revealed. Will exposed himself as an impulsive and aggressive man hidden behind a big smile. When Chris insulted Jada Pinkett Smith by joking about his excitement for a G.I. Jane movie, Will initially laughed. but his face quickly turned to anger when he noticed his wife didn't find that funny at all. Will won Best Oscar that night, but it would be the last good thing that would ever happen to him. The Academy banned Will from ever attending another event, he's been blacklisted in Hollywood, and Jada's talk show on YouTube was cancelled. It turns out that the most sane people in the Smith family are Will's kids, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. And at number 1, cheating scandals. For a long time now, Will and Jada have attempted to hide their various marriage misdeeds from the media, but they've never truly been successful in that venture. While both have been rumored to have been cheating on each other multiple times, it was Jada who was confirmed to be the real cheater. While rumors had been circulating that Will was romantically involved with Focus co-star Margot Robbie, those rumors were quickly laid to rest thanks to the crew of the project confirming that any photos taken were on set and in character. Jada, however, was most certainly cheating on Will a few years prior with her Hawthorne co-star Mark Anthony. The proof? Well, Will walked in on them getting jiggy with it and was reduced to tears, according to Jada. While they were able to hide it at the time, the conversation that took place between herself and Will on her now cancelled talk show was quite revealing. Number 10. Alec is homophobic. Alec Baldwin is a proud man, being publicly anti-Trump and a registered Democrat with left-leaning political views. But despite his advocacy for equality, he's been accused of being homophobic on multiple occasions. In June 2012, Alec released a very angry tweet, which he later deleted. It contained comments about the New York Daily News editor-in-chief, Colin Meyer, calling him an English queen. A year later, People magazine reported that Baldwin released another tweet that the Daily Mail was a toxic little queen. Man, he loves that word. That same year, Alec was fired from his MSNBC talk show Up Late with Alec Baldwin after allegedly screaming homophobic slurs at a New York Post photographer. After his show was cancelled, Alec released an article that asked his fans, was he really homophobic? He went on to write, "Look, I'm in show business. I'm awash in gay people, as colleagues and friends." He then did the most defensive thing possible by listing all of his gay friends and then described a time when he had to kiss Russell Brand in a scene as a way to be like, hey, I kissed a dude, how could I be homophobic? Hey man, you'd be surprised. He made the argument that he was a public advocate for gay marriage because he officiated a ceremony at one point. But like, hey man, you're an actor. It would make sense that he plays the role of a public advocate to keep his true biases a secret and maintain his career. Number 9. Alec's control issues. While his brothers may have had a more public battle with their substance control issues, Alec also had to battle his demons in the form of multiple narcotics and a taste for adult beverages. In his 2017 memoir, Nevertheless, Alec revealed that not only did he battle with control issues for years, but he also suffered from a nearly fatal overdose after a week-long bender of continuous partying. He wrote that he thinks he would have gotten sober eventually, but that the event was an early wake-up call that he needed to get clean just before he turned 27. He describes his time before that as living in the white, hot period of daily substances and drinks, claiming the experience to be an addictive nightmare that was impossible to get a handle on. Eventually, he was able to get a grasp on his issues and has remained relatively sober ever since. Well, at least California sober at least. Wink wink. Number 8. Alec's temper. In 2007, Alec directed his hot temper at his daughter, Ireland, who he had with his ex-wife Kim Basinger in a now infamous voicemail that would reveal the usual mild-mannered, soft-spoken man was secretly an angry man. TMZ obtained the audio of the message to Ireland in which Alec screams, "You are a rude, thoughtless little pig. You don't have the brains or decency to be a human being. I don't care if you're a child or that your mother is the toughest pain in the butt." The perception that he may be verbally chastising his daughter came after claims that he was going to straighten her out, which led a family judge to bar Alec from seeing his child. While the family later reconciled in 2012, his daughter has said in recent interviews that the voicemail was never perceived by her as intense, as she was used to those kinds of verbal outbursts from her father. Just to anyone watching this right now that thinks screaming and breaking things is a normal reaction when you're upset, it's not. Please call someone or get help, because that's not okay to act like that, especially towards your own flesh and blood. Seriously, if that's happening to you or someone you know, just call the number down below. Please talk to somebody and let your voice be heard. Number 7. Ireland's rehab stint. Alec Baldwin's daughter, named after his favorite place to pass out, isn't a party girl, but she certainly came close a few times. A source told Radar Online that Ireland was not considered to be an addict per se. She did drown her feelings in the spicy no-no juice that adults just love to glug though. In 2015, Ireland had to be hospitalized for severe stomach pains, which turned out to be a serious case of appendicitis. Despite it just being her appendix, the hospital visit had come after a roughly 6-month bender, and she reportedly told the hospital officials officials that she needed professional help. Baldwin then found herself checking into Soba Recovery Center in Malibu, California, which treats control issues for various substances as well as any underlying psychological problems that may lead to them. She was quoted as claiming that she's not much of a party girl, but she needed to deal with some emotional trauma and get some intense therapy to help her speed up her recovery. Thankfully, she progressed beautifully during her time at Soba, thanks to the support of her fellow Baldwinians, especially her mama Kim, who regularly sent her care packages from home with little notes and treats. Hey, got a problem with substance control issues? Eat a Snickers. Number 6. Steven is broke. While he may not be as well known as his brother Alex, Stephen Baldwin has been steadily working in Hollywood since his first appearance in a minor role alongside Tom Cruise in the 1989 film Born on the 4th of July. He went on to star in several indie and medium budget flicks like the 1995 thriller The Usual Suspects, the Flintstones prequel Viva Rock Vegas from 2000, and probably most famously the 1996 film Biodome, of which he got a little bit too excited about. You see, Biodome ended up being one of his most lucrative films, and between the first paycheck in the year 2012, he went completely broke. While he's had steady work in smaller roles over the years, appearing to be well off, the paychecks have not always been the biggest. In 2012, Steven was arrested for failing to file his taxes from 2008 to 2010, owing the state over $350,000 in back taxes. It turns out he just loved spending money on literally anything he wanted. Houses, boats, cars, all of this landing him over $2.3 million in personal debt. Following his arrest, Steven pleaded guilty to tax evasion and was forced to pay back $300,000 immediately just to avoid any prison time. Recent reports say that he has moved into a small condo in New York after selling anything that may aid him in repaying the government. Hey, it only took him being arrested to realize that he should probably pay his taxes. How about that?
Number 5. Rashida Jones. Initially, Rashida Jones didn't even want to be involved in the family business. You might recognize her from the cast of Parks and Recreation, but before ever entering the industry, she was working towards a job in the justice system as a lawyer or possibly even a judge. In fact, she even went to Harvard. She worked really hard to be in that other field. Her father is famous music producer Quincy Jones, and her mother is actress Peggy Lipton, who you might recognize from Twin Peaks, where she played the owner of the Double R Diner, Norma Jennings. It wasn't until later in her life that Rashida decided to change careers and work towards a role in the film industry. Although she comes from folks who work in this industry, Rashida attempted to always apply her father's advice to any job that she worked in. She said he had always advised his daughter that whatever you do, you have to work really hard to get really good at it. Number 4. Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is the daughter of reality star Kris Jenner and Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner. Of course, the model is more well known for her connections to her reality star sisters Kim, Khloe, and Kourtney Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner. She has said before, "Of course I had a platform and I never took that for granted. I always knew that was there, but that almost made my job a little bit harder, only because people probably didn't want to hire me because I was on a reality TV show." Well, that definitely sounds like it would make being taken seriously a bit of a challenge. Many people also never get the opportunity to even be on a reality TV show. Well, I have no doubt this created challenges for Kendall as she worked towards becoming a model, and mental hurdles in regards to, awful things people likely said and say about her online. It's also important to consider that her role on the show likely also opened some doors as well. Number 3. Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz is the daughter of actor Lisa Bonet and singer Lenny Kravitz. She shares a publicist with her dad. Her standout roles include her part in the Hulu series High Fidelity, which was a TV series remake of the 2000 movie that her mom starred in, and Catwoman in The Batman. Although Zoe had also voiced Catwoman previous to that in the Lego Batman movie. Her first role, however, was a small part in the film No Reservations, where she played a gothic academic babysitter named Charlotte. That being said, I feel that Zoe Kravitz has proven herself as an actress kind of many times over at this point. And while I'm sure her having family in the industry helped her to launch a career, she still started with smaller roles and had to work her way up to becoming Catwoman. In fact, Zoe also has opened up about her own struggles working in the industry, sharing that when she sought to audition for a smaller role in Dark Knight Rises, she was actually turned away, being told that casting wasn't going urban on the part. Number 2. Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner, like her sister Kendall Jenner, is kinda cut from a pretty similar cloth, becoming famous at a young age on the reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. A few years ago, Forbes labeled her as the youngest self-made billionaire in history. which of course prompted many people to call out Forbes for mislabeling her, saying that, it's easy to become a billionaire when your parents are millionaires and you come from privilege. That being said, Kylie did smartly use the status she garnered from the show to elevate herself and her brand. So, is she somewhat self-made, or is she not at all self-made? That being said, is anyone really self-made in a world where wealth tends to remain with the wealthy? Number 1. Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård is a talented actor who was also born into a giant film and television and just in general artistic family. The Skarsgårds. I would say his breakout role was as Pennywise the Clown in 2017's It remake, but even before then, he'd been working and hustling in smaller and less well-scripted projects since the year 2000. We gotta go way back. Well, he definitely got help with his name. I'd also just say being a member of the Skarsgård clan gives you a leg up because you're surrounded by a lot of other talented performers. And I think ultimately when we talk about nepotism, it's important to consider that a lot of these people are just inspired by the people around them that help them get to where they are. Both sides of it. Also depends on what you bring to the table. How much work are you putting in? I think we gotta consider that part too. Or how much work are you not putting in?
Number 10. Their secret son. While many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, did you know that Will had a third son? Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino, and tends to fly under the radar in the eye of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino on her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this was the first time we had even heard about Trey. Will claims that he had to distance himself from Trey and his mother following the divorce. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father figure. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of Trey's life. But for a long time, Trey was kept hidden from the public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that can never be washed away. Number 9. Jada's biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the lead and supporting role categories were white, something that had not happened since 1998. Jada released a much publicized and highly mocked video explaining why she was boycotting the event, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed her own tendency to judge others, revealing she specifically had a problem with blonde white women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just sets her right off, and she's had to hold herself back quite a few times. She revealed that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years simply due to the interviewer being a white blonde lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. I don't know, I got bullied all the time, but you don't see me running from every guy wearing camo around me. Number 8. Will's orientation. In 2012, Star magazine published an expose on Will that somehow stuck around for years. The outlet alleged that Will and his wife were headed for divorce because of his growing bromance with fellow actor Dwayne Martin, which was speculated upon due to the multiple outings the pair shared in a short span of time. The rumor was only intensified when Jada expressed her dislike for the friendship. She said that she felt like Will flaunts it in her face. He takes Dwayne out all day on exotic vacations while she just sits home alone in her university-sized mansion. Who cares? Well, it's never actually been confirmed if the bromance was more than what it seemed. The fact that multiple sources have accused Will of basically the same things makes us think there might be some merit to the rumors. Number 7. Will Smith almost ended his father's life. The Smiths are famous for getting into way too much detail when discussing their family history. Will Smith released a memoir called Will, released in 2021, that was chock full of juicy info that most certainly should have remained secret. One of the most shocking revelations in the book would have resulted in Will spending his life in prison had he followed through with his plan. The actor explained that his father, Will Smith Sr., got very physical towards himself and his mother all the time. As a child, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother when he was older and capable of doing more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer, and Will was forced to care for him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take his papa down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom towards the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." He then went on to describe the moment that he contemplated pushing him down the stairs. He noted that no one would have suspected him, and the moment was just perfect. He wrote, "I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would have been Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life and instead took care of him until his passing in 2016. Number 6. bad parents. Jaden and Willow Smith are famous for their outlandish antics and wild lifestyle. Jaden was on track to becoming an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to a more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with the more creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were almost never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents in between projects or if they were working with their parent on said project, like when Jaden and Will were in the pursuit of happiness. Willow has backed up her brother's story, claiming that the parenting skills forced them to become mentally mature at a very young age, which probably plays some part in Jaden's success at just 24. Despite appearing to be a happy family unit in the media, the reality is Jaden and Willow have been raising themselves for a very long time.
And at number 5, Dr. Daniel Barrett. A plastic surgeon who's gone viral from his videos talking about celebrity plastic surgeries got in some major hot water after he made a video about Hailey Bieber. In the viral TikTok, he compared pictures of Hailey then versus now, and pointed out what he thought was different about her face, saying, quote, "Pay special attention to the nose. What do you think?" Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's physically impossible without getting a little bit of help from someone like myself to go from this picture to that picture. Adding that he thinks she had a rhinoplasty as well as jawline contouring, skin tightening, a lip filler, and a chin implant. And apparently the Biebers are so threatened by this man's opinion that both Justin and Hailey threatened to sue him for the video. The couple accused the doctor of using Hailey's likeness, making claims about her, and using, quote, copyright protected lyrics from Justin's song Sorry in the caption. And the fact that he's trying to sue for a caption, like, that's a lot, Justin, come on. The couples reportedly sent him a cease and desist letter regarding his video, but because he did nothing wrong, it's not been taken down. Hailey somewhat responded to this on Instagram, where she claimed a lot of after photos are edited by the makeup artist, and she doesn't actually look like that. Either way, suing him is ridiculous. And at number 4, Harvey Levin. Even though I'm sure Harvey Levin doesn't have a vendetta against Alec Baldwin or the family in general, he owns gossip site TMZ, who's known for breaking tons of terrible stories about Alec. It was TMZ that exposed him for using the F-word slur and it started the hate train against the star, even though the allegation turned out to be false. TMZ also leaked the voice memo that Alec left to his daughter Ireland, where he called her tons of horrible names, including a thoughtless little pig, which not only hurt Alec's reputation, but made his daughter Ireland even more hurt and embarrassed than she was before. And at number 3, Alec Baldwin himself. With the amount of insane scandals that Alec Baldwin has been in, I think it's safe to say that he gave us all the warning that we really needed. One incident was when he punched a random guy in the face after they got into a heated fight over a parking spot. Baldwin said that he had a family member holding the spot for him, but then the guy pulled into it. Baldwin and the man started arguing, and then Baldwin decided to sucker punch him right in the face. The next incident was when he was removed off a flight in 2011 because he refused to stop playing a game called Words with Friends on his phone, with Baldwin tweeting out after, quote, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving. Hashtag no wonder American Air is bankrupt." Then in another incident, he reamed out the police because they were going to ticket him for riding his bike the wrong way down the street. But he was so difficult they ended up arresting him, causing him to rant that, quote, "New York officials are simply, quote, desperate for revenue and anxious to criminalize behavior once thought benign." And at number 2, Ireland Baldwin. So this is one you should see coming. But Alec has such a bad temper that his own daughter felt his wrath on a long voicemail message he angrily left when she didn't pick up the phone. Back in 2007, the voice message was leaked online, and people got to hear the awful things Alec said to his 11-year-old daughter at the time, with him saying in the call that she was, quote, "a rude, thoughtless little pig." That needed to be, quote, straightened out, and she humiliated him for the last time, with things being extra heated because him and his wife Kim Basinger were in a heated custody battle at the time. At the time, he apologized in a statement saying, quote, "I'm sorry as everyone who knows me is aware for losing my temper with my child. I have been driven to the edge by parental alienation for many years now. You have to go through this to understand, although I hope you never do. I'm sorry for what happened." Thankfully, Ireland can now joke about it, with her saying that it was turned into a bigger deal than it actually was, but I'm sure that definitely hurt a little bit to receive that. In at number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf got into such a bad feud with Alec Baldwin that he allegedly quit a play right before it was scheduled to premiere. The play was called Orphans, and at the time Shia said he quit due to, quote, creative differences, but later it was revealed that his co-star Alec Baldwin might have been the real reason. He took to Twitter and showed an email that was seemingly sent to Alec, where Shia said that men should behave a certain way, adding, quote, Alec, I'm sorry for my part of a disagreeable situation. Then there was a screenshot of another email from the play's director where he says he should have listened to Shia earlier. But then Shia posted an email exchange between him and Baldwin where Baldwin said, quote, I don't have an unkind word to say about you. Which is definitely something you say to someone that you don't like very much, in my experience. Starting off at number 7, we have a New York City hostess. Back when exposing rude celebrities was trending online, TikTok user Julia Carolan took the opportunity to share her experiences with celebrities that she met when she was a host at a fancy New York City restaurant. One of those rude celebrities was none other than Hailey Baldwin. When talking about her, she said, quote, this is gonna be controversial. I've met her a handful of times, and every time she was not nice. I really want to like her, but I have to give her like a 3.5 out of 10. Sorry. And even though Hailey was not the only rude celebrity mentioned, Hailey decided to apologize to the user by writing in the comments of that video, quote, just came across this video and wanted to say I'm so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude. That's not ever my intention. Hate hearing that was your experience with me, but glad you called me out so I can do better. Hopefully we meet again so I can apologize in person. And then Caroline responded thanking her for being accountable and taking the time to apologize. And for this one, she might have exposed that Hailey is maybe a little two-faced, maybe a little rude, but because Hailey apologized, I think we can all safely say that, you know, she's learned and grown and changed, and I think we can accept that apology. And at number 6, paparazzi. One group of people that absolutely hates Alec Baldwin is the paparazzi, as he has assaulted numerous paparazzi on a few occasions. The first and most famous went down in October of 1995 when a photographer was waiting outside of his home to get a glimpse of their newborn daughter. Baldwin started by spraying shaving cream on the paparazzi's windows, then a scuffle started, and Baldwin punched him right in the nose, while Alec denies this and says that he just slapped the camera out of his hand. Baldwin was later acquitted of misdemeanor battery charges in the case and won an invasion of privacy suit against Zanger, though Zanger won a civil case against Baldwin for damages that cost the actor $4,500. The next run-in was in June of 2012, and the paparazzi said about Baldwin, quote, he comes after me, starts shoving and punching me, one time right in the chin. But Baldwin denied this and said that he was accosted by the paparazzi. Alec later said in a tweet the paparazzi should be, quote, waterboarded. Yikes. So clearly, a lot of tension between those two groups.
Number 5, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is an actress and businesswoman. She is the daughter of Blythe Danner and film producer-director Bruce Paltrow. Her acting debut was in High, a TV film her father directed, and after spending several summers watching her mother perform at the Williams Theatre Festival in Massachusetts, Gwyneth made her professional stage debut there in 1990. Her film debut followed with the musical romance film Shout. Now, to be honest, I don't have an issue with her being a Nepo baby with her acting. I have an issue with her business. She is the founder and CEO of the lifestyle company Goop, which has been criticized for promoting pseudoscience and harmful wellness tips. Gwyneth has opened up about what she usually eats every day, noting that most of her daily meals consist of a morning coffee, a bone broth soup for lunch, and a paleo-style meal of vegetables for dinner. It's really important for me to support my detox. The actress mentioned leaving some social media users to compare her diet to a colonoscopy prep. And I'll say it, it's disordered eating, and she's projecting and encouraging other women to do this, and that's just wrong. Number 4, Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn Spears is an actress and singer. Now, she didn't get her fame from her parents, but from her sister, Britney Spears. In February 2002, at age 11, Jamie Lynn made her acting debut in the Paramount Picture drama film Crossroads, which starred her sister Britney. Following this, she got her own Nickelodeon show, which was ultimately canceled after she got pregnant at 16 years old. Then in 2011, Jamie Lynn moved to Nashville with her daughter Maddie and began working on a country music album with a number of local music producers. In July 2021, Worthy Publishing announced her plans to release a memoir, releasing a statement saying Jamie Lynn's book has been in development over the past 12 months and will allow the world to hear her inspiring story in her own words for the first time. Her memoir memoir entitled Things I Should Have Said, Family, Fame, and Figuring It Out was released on January 18, 2022. Rolling Stone recommended the book, but highlighted that Jamie Lynn used her sister Britney Spears' highly publicized struggles and conservatorship to promote her new book, which was disgusting. She was once again using her sister to gain fame. Number 3. Kaia Gerber. Kaia Gerber is a model and actress who is the daughter of model Cindy Crawford and businessman Randy Gerber. Speaking to LUS, the model, whose career began at age 10 with a Versace shoot, agreed that her career thus far has certainly been helped by the status of her parents. I won't deny the privilege that I have, even if it's just the fact that I have a really great source of information and someone to give me great advice. That alone I feel very fortunate for, she said. Adding, my mom always joked if I could call and book a Chanel campaign, it would be for me and not you. But I've also met amazing people through my mom whom I now get to work with. But in Kaia's eyes, her next career move, a pivot into acting, which she kicked off with an appearance in the Academy Award-winning director Damien Chazelle's Babylon, has not been helped by her parents' big names. With acting, it's so different. No artist is going to sacrifice their vision for someone's kid. That's just how art is made, and what I'm interested is in the art, she said. Yes, nepotism is prevalent, but I think if it actually was what people make it out to be, we'd see even more of it. Naturally, the internet has a lot to say about her take, with one Twitter user writing Kaia Gerber still doesn't quite understand nepotism. She doesn't understand she got instant access to the highest levels of modeling and got instant access to people like Ryan Murphy. She doesn't understand industry levels because she was born at the top, and that is so very true. Number 2. Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is a model, media personality, and socialite. She's the daughter of Kris and Caitlyn Jenner and was on a little show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Due to this, she rose to fame, and with her family's connections, she was able to become a model. And there's no denying that, as it was directly shown on the reality series. She began modeling at the age of 14, and she made her debut at number 16 on Forbes magazine's 2015 list of top earning models, with an estimated annual income of $4 million. In 2017, Kendall was named the world's highest paid model by Forbes, and now recently an interview that she did back in 2018 has resurfaced. During an interview with Love magazine, Kendall said she was never one of those girls who would do like 30 shows a season or whatever those girls do. More power to them, but I had a million jobs, not only catwalks but everything else. Now, this made many people angry, including fellow models. The main reason why she's getting backlash again is due to the whole nepotism baby discussion, as Kendall only became a model because of who her family was, and she was able to be selective in what shows she did. Other models didn't have that luxury and had to do 30 shows or whatever in order to survive and get their name out there. Many people feel like she's being spoiled over the whole thing, and I agree. And coming in at number 1 is Hailey Bieber. Hailey Bieber is a model, media personality, and socialite, but before she was Hailey Bieber, she was Hailey Baldwin. The Baldwins are one of the most established families in Hollywood, with the well-known Baldwin brothers Alec, Daniel, Billy, and Steven, Hailey's dad, taking the film and TV world by storm around the 80s and 90s particularly. Now, Hailey has even been labeled a double Nepo, referring not only to her father, but also her husband Justin Bieber, because that's how she reached her fame. She's literally known for being Justin's wife. Now, after a lot of the Nepo baby discourse, Hailey called the paparazzi on herself to a parking garage so they could take photos of her in jeans and a shirt that said Nepo baby. For a model, she sure didn't do a good job. Now, in the past, she's chatted with Gwyneth Paltrow about the subject, seemingly agreeing with Gwyneth's assessment that children of celebrities must work twice as hard because of their family association. Gwyneth herself has shown support for Hailey following the t-shirt stunt, commenting on InStyle's Instagram page, "I might need a few of these." But honestly, I just think it's pathetic.
Number 10. Lily Rose Depp. Like a lot of the stars on today's list, Lily Rose has been known to not acknowledge the fact that she comes from privilege. More so, on many occasions, she's actually fought against the theory of nepotism, playing the biggest hand in her successful career today. Though whether this is true or not is obviously kinda hard to tell. I personally feel like Lily Rose Depp definitely has the look to be in film and be a model, and so that she has working for her. She brought that. She was born with the way she looks, and she probably works on the way she looks too. And her name and connection to both her celebrity parents has probably also helped to open at least some doors for her. She's the daughter of actor Johnny Depp and singer, model, and actor Vanessa Paradis, and made her film debut in Tusk, which her dad also starred in alongside her. Both Depps starred in the spin-off Yoga Hosers. The model, who's now a Chanel brand ambassador, met the late Chanel creative director Karl Lagerfeld through her mom. She told Elle, "The internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but you still just have your foot in the door. There's a lot of work that comes after that." Previously, she told Australian Vogue, "It is obviously a really easy assumption to make to think that I would just have roles landing on my doorstep because of my name. But that's an idea I've always kind of rejected. I've always been under the impression that I have to work twice as hard to prove to people that I'm not just here because it's easy for me. I feel like you're not what your name is. If you're not right for something, they're not just going to hire you because your name looks good on the post." And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you like what we do here at BTS, be sure to click that like button. Number 9. Maggie Gyllenhaal. While some might seem more debatable in terms of how much their nepotism truly paved the way, there are others who, while having a famous name to lean on, actively try to prove their merit and actively challenge themselves creatively. To me, Maggie is one of those people. She's not only extremely talented, but she also comes across as being low-key and down to earth. And she hasn't really just settled for safe roles, but has actively sought out more complex ones and diverse ones, even expanding into a director role as well with time. A lot of people seem to forget that both Jake Gyllenhaal and his sister Maggie were born into a family that already worked in the industry, and not only that, I believe they were also born into Swedish royalty as well. Maggie even attributes much of what inspired her to her mother, Naomi Foner, who is a screenwriter and director who received an Academy Award nomination and won a Golden Globe for her screenplay Running on Empty, and directed Very Good Girls, which starred Dakota Fanning and Elizabeth Olsen. Number 8. Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is the daughter of actor Blythe Danner and director and producer Bruce Paltrow. She made her film debut in the TV movie High, which was written and directed by her own father. On Hailey Bieber's YouTube show Who's in My Bathroom, what a weird name for a YouTube show by the way, she said, "As the child of someone, you get access other people don't have, so the playing field is not level in that way. However, I really do feel that once your foot is in the door, which you unfairly got in, then you almost have to work twice as hard and be twice as good." She continued, "People are ready to pull you down and say you don't belong there, or you are only there because of your dad or your mom." I do think Gwyneth had to work hard to prove herself, but I also feel like her nepotism has allowed her to get away with some pretty wild things in regards to building her own brand. Number 7. River Phoenix. Some may not consider River Phoenix a child of nepotism, considering that growing up, his life was honestly kind of rough, and his parents were described by him as hippie-ish. They weren't well-known performers or directors or producers, but that doesn't mean that nepotism didn't play a role in River's success. It was actually his mother, who had a job as a secretary at NBC, that was able to use her position and her connections to get her children a place in the spotlight, calling a casting director at Paramount and getting her son a job in the industry when he was only 8. Basically, putting them in front of the right people. That being said, both River and Joaquin were definitely talented youths, even I'm sure their sisters were, who I believe more than earned their place. Now, in River's case, fame actually ended up being a massive burden on him, one that he actually never sought out, but was more thrown into by his mother, and that cost him dearly in the end, likely playing a key role in him losing his life at the age of 23. Number 6. Hailey Bieber. Some may not know Hailey Bieber is the daughter of actor, director, and producer Stephen Baldwin, and the niece of actors Alec, Daniel, and William Baldwin. Before she was married to Justin, her name was Hailey Baldwin. However, she followed more closely in the footsteps of her model cousin Ireland Baldwin and her model sister Aliyah Baldwin. In 2016, before she married Justin Bieber and changed her name, she told Grazia, "I want to do everything on my own without my name being a factor. I try to keep myself separate from it." She continued, "Kids that already have a famous background are just following in their family's footsteps. My dad and all of his brothers have done this. This is my family business." Some could interpret this as literally using your family's footsteps to pave your way, as opposed to carving your own path. but it could kind of go either way, really. I understand what people are saying, they come from a family, obviously you're gonna use those connections, but to what extent? To what extent? That's what we're asking here.
Number 5. Stephen can't drive. Alec's baby bro Stephen Baldwin may have had massive financial woes over the years, but he's also been a bit of a bad boy behind the wheel. In 2014, Baldwin was busted for driving with a suspended license in New York City. He was reportedly carrying an expired registration form which he confidently handed to the police, expecting to be met with nothing but praise and excitement that it was Hollywood superstar Stephen Baldwin, oh my! Instead, he was met with handcuffs, as not only was the car registration expired, but his driving was so erratic and insane that he was charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, which is a misdemeanor, as well as driving an unregistered vehicle and driving with a suspended license. This was not the first incident involving his poor skills as a driver, however. A few years prior to that, he was also arrested for making an illegal U-turn. Well, he wasn't arrested for that. He was arrested because his license was beyond expire. In the end, though, he only had to pay a $75 fine that time, as the incident was a misunderstanding and his new license just so happened to appear the day after he was pulled over. Oh, well, that's not suspicious at all. Number 4. Daniel's arrests. The Baldwin family may consist of Hollywood heavyweights and minor league players, but did any of you know about Daniel Baldwin? Because I don't know, I didn't. E! News reported that in 1997, Danny went on a no-no-snow fueled rampage at the famed New York Plaza Hotel, smashing every piece of furniture in sight and completely destroying his room. When police finally arrived following multiple noise complaints, Danny was in his birthday suit, bleeding and incoherent. He was taken to the hospital where he woke up in handcuffs. He later pleaded guilty to the charges of disorderly conduct and was sentenced to 3 months of rehabilitation to avoid any jail time. This family should have like a little punch card or something, 4 stints in rehab, get the 5th one free. The rehab didn't work, however, as in April 2006, Baldwin was arrested again for possession of no-no-snow after another hotel incident, this time in Santa Monica, though charges were never actually pushed onto him. He later confessed to People magazine that his control issues started at a party in 1989. 6 months later, he went to rehab, but it never took. He blames his major relapses and arrests on his prescription for Vicodin, which was given to him following a back injury. From there, he spiraled into everything under the sun, probably including the sun itself. Maybe you can get a buzz from that thing if you look at it too long. Nope, I'm just blind now. Number 3. Daniel's love life. Daniel hasn't only been involved with drama when it comes to the police, he's also got a pretty poor taste in judgment when it comes to his relationships. He's been married 3 times and has 5 children with 4 different women. While his first marriage wasn't very public, his second one was chock full of scandal. He married actress Elizabeth Hitchler in 1990 and divorced her 6 years later. During the same year, he had a son named Atticus with his Homicide Life on the Street co-star Isabella Hoffman. They had reportedly been involved for over a decade, including during Dan's time married to Elizabeth. It's his 3rd marriage though when things got extreme. Baldwin met a woman named Joanne Smith in California at the rehab facility that he had been staying in. She was the chef, and he was hungry. They married in 2007 and had 2 kids together. In 2011 though, Baldwin again filed for divorce, this time citing Joanne's substance control issues as the main cause. He also alleged that Smith had told Dan she was going to end his life in front of their children and was accused of being physical towards him on numerous occasions, and would fall into violent rages. Police were even called to the house at one point and discovered that Smith was unfit to be around the kids and granted Daniel temporary custody and restraining order against her. Number 2. Divided by politics. While Alec may be outspoken as a man against former President Donald Trump, even parodying him on the sketch show Saturday Night Live for a few seasons, his brother Stephen is the yin to his yang, as he is a big-time supporter of the Republican bad boy. The differences in their beliefs caused a massive rift in the family unit that the Baldwins fought hard to keep secret from the public eye. Unfortunately, Stephen couldn't keep his fingers off of his phone, and he took to Twitter to have a public feud with his brother Billy Baldwin, who was also anti-Trump. The argument ranged from "I'm right, you're wrong" to "Dad would be rolling over in his grave right now if he heard you say that." In 2017, Stephen admitted to Hollywood reporters that he hadn't spoken to his brother Alec in over a year following the dispute. Stephen's daughter Hailey Bieber confirmed that even within her immediate family unit, politics caused a lot of issues when Trump was elected. Now that he's out of office and on the verge of jail time, we have to imagine that the Baldwin family are just anxiously beating their heads on the wall like, what is gonna happen? And at number 1, Alec doesn't play by the rules. Alec always presents a calm and soft-spoken demeanor when he's in interviews or interacting with fans, but in his mind, the rules of common society just don't apply to him. A little while back, Alec was kicked off of an American Airlines flight after he refused to turn off his cell phone when the crew asked him to. According to Alec himself, he was playing a game of Word with Friends when the situation took place. Now, he posted on Twitter, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving. No wonder American is bankrupt." American Airlines themselves denied the notion that they took the situation too far, claiming that Alec was extremely rude and calling the crew inappropriate names and using offensive language the moment he got on the plane. He later continued his journey on another American Air flight and tweeted that the new crew had already looked smarter than the last one, making it sound like it's not a smart idea to upset him or something. I don't know. What are you gonna do, Alec? Huh? Come get me.